Now, you're probably asking yourself, what is sensory integration and what does it have to do with my pregnancy? If that's your question, that makes total sense to me because most people haven't heard of the term sensory integration before. Sensory integration is how your senses interpret your world through your brain. Before I go into more detail about sensory integration, it's important that I share with you something else that you might not know, and that's the fact that you have 7 senses. Now, for a second time, you might be asking yourself another question, and that question might be, but I thought we only had 5 senses. What are the other 2? The 7 senses are hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, and the 2 new senses are vestibular, which has to do with how your body interprets movement using your inner ear, and proprioception, which is your body's interpretation of where it is in space using your joints and muscles. Another word for proprioception is body awareness. An example of your vestibular system being activated is when you're in motion. So you might experience vestibular activation when doing something like driving or walking. An example of the proprioceptive system being activated is opening and closing a door. That use of your joints is proprioceptive activation or proprioceptive input. How does sensory integration impact your pregnancy? Well, it impacts you in 2 ways. When you're pregnant, you experience something called sense sensitivity due to the hormonal changes going on in your body. Sense sensitivity might mean that right now you're feeling a sense of over-responsiveness to smells, sights, and sounds, and potentially on the other end of the spectrum, a sense of under-responsiveness to certain sights, smells, and tastes. The other reason why sensory integration might impact your pregnancy is simply the experience of being a woman. Living in our culture, we as women definitely experience the world in a very different way to cis men. One could even say just the experience of being a woman has its own set of challenges and a potentially high exposure to trauma. That constant intensity of living in a world where we experience a lot of marginalization and potentially also a lack of safety can create a lot of hyperarousal and a sense of heightened anxiety in our bodies, which can impact how we integrate our senses. If anything that I've just said resonates with you, in the guide that goes along with this module, there's a list of characteristics that unpack how you could be feeling if you're experiencing challenges around sensory integration. The concept of a sensory diet comes from the world of occupational therapy. A sensory diet is essentially a series of sensory activities using sensory tools to help you get into a just right state. And getting to a just right state might mean using calming activities or alerting activities. Keeping that in mind, let's unpack some sensory tools and explore how you can use them for calming or for alerting. When it comes to seeing, a calming activity might be finding something pleasant in your environment, like your favorite plant, and focusing your attention on it until you notice yourself start to relax. If you don't have a plant around you or easy access to nature or going outside, another option might be going onto your computer and finding a video of a waterfall and watching that video until you feel a little bit more relaxed. In the case of sound, a calming activity might be listening to something like white noise or binaural beats. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you might want no sound at all, which is where something like noise-canceling headphones could come in handy. An alerting sound activity might be listening to music really, really loud, playing your favorite song a couple of times, and seeing if that helps to lift your energy and put you in a brighter mood. These sensory tools can be used to either calm or alert the following senses: touch, smell, and proprioception. For touch, it could feel calming to use a sensory brush like this with really soft bristles. The bristles are so soft, in fact, you can brush this on your face. When it comes to smell, burning something like Palo Santo or any incense that you feel comfortable smelling is a great way to either calm or alert the senses. I love burning Palo Santo and find myself doing it all the time. Another way to engage your sense of smell might be to use essential oils. There are a number of essential oils that are in fact safe for pregnancy, and we've put together a list of them for you in the guide that goes along with the module for this class. Now I want to show you my favorite proprioceptive sensory activity. And it brings together a weighted shoulder blanket, a balloon, and some jewelry, which is jewelry that you can chew. Stay with me here. This weighted shoulder blanket provides input to my muscles and joints, which helps me feel calm. So this is a calming activity for me. Blowing up a balloon is another proprioceptive activity that's giving me input to my muscles and joints. But depending on how I'm feeling, it can either be an alerting activity or a calming activity. And that's really important to keep in mind as you explore building a sensory diet for yourself. Sometimes different tools will create a different response in your body depending on your environment and how you're feeling. Today, blowing up this balloon feels pretty calming. And finally, we have the jewelry, which is jewelry that you can chew. Now, you might be watching this and think, that's pretty strange, but chewing actually provides a lot of force and proprioceptive input. It's one of the reasons why people love chewing gum. That constant movement of the jaw and pressure of the jaw can be very relaxing. So, in the case of this necklace, if you're someone who finds that they like a lot of oral input and a lot of intense proprioceptive input, then chewing on something like this while you do work, while you take a call or go on a walk or watch TV could be very relaxing. And in fact, jewelry is really a great tool to bring into the labor room, as are some of the other sensory tools that we've just looked at. The last sensory activity I want to show you can help calm or alert your vestibular system. And this activity involves movement. I'm going to get on all fours. And while on all fours, I'm going to gently rock forward and back. Rocking forward and back is an easy way to get vestibular input. And while you're pregnant, especially at this stage, it's a great way to take pressure off of your low back. Depending on how you're feeling in your body, you can also spread your legs a little bit wider and take your butt as far back as you can go, and then come forward. So we've gone over a number of different sensory tools that could help get you into that just right state. Here's a little bit of advice as you embark on your sensory integration journey. Have fun, play around. These tools are here to help you in whatever way is going to feel best. Keep in mind that sensory tools have a duality to them, meaning that they could provide calming effects or alerting effects. And what it does is really going to depend on how you're feeling in a given time. And keep in mind that it's also okay during your pregnancy, as your body is rapidly changing and your baby is rapidly growing, to change your preferences around what tools you like. So you might find that a tool is amazing for a few weeks, and then you might fatigue on that tool and need something different. And especially if you bring sensory tools into labor, as you move from one stage of labor to the next, a tool that was working a few hours ago might no longer work. If you can keep an open mind and be playful and curious, I have a feeling that building a sensory diet and getting a clearer understanding about what gets you into a just right state is going to help your pregnancy be calmer and more empowered.